Hi. So I'm testing out new software. Can you let me know if I'm like, am I here? Can you see me? I think, yes. Okay, I see myself on the screen. Great, fab. We're live on YouTube and we're almost live on Facebook. Oh, it's gonna work. Hi. Okay. Happy Friday. Thanks for being here. I know everybody's here for the tea of the story of this client that I lost out on, 100% entirely my fault. I will get to it. Let me just hit live on Facebook. Make sure. Oh, yes. Crushing the technology today. Okay, we are live on Facebook, I think. I don't know. Anyway, if you're here on YouTube, I should be able to see. Oh, yes, I can see your comments. Oh, hi, Jamie. How are you doing? Hey, Lakshman. Oh, my gosh. I love it. I love it. A little nervous that I have past clients here, but you guys were my clients. So you didn't experience the story that I'm about to tell. In any case, I know everybody's here for the tea. So what I'm talking about today is a follow-up mistake that I made that caused me to lose out on a $4,000 client, which is my standard brand photography package right now. And this isn't the first time this has happened. It's happened a couple of times, all because of the same root issue. So I have fixed it, and we're going to talk about it today. And we're going to talk about my follow-up process now that stops this from happening in general. So the app that I'm using is Ecamm Live. I have never used it before, but I've heard rave reviews about it and I'm loving it so far. It's like I'm seeing all the previews. I'll be able to screen share later. So that's what I'm using. So if you are here live, let me know in the comments. There's like a little comment window that I'm looking at too. This is so fun. I'm like so pleased. I'm so geeking out over this software right now. But my name's Emily Kim. Most of you, if you're here, you probably already know me. I'm a brand photographer and photography/creative business educator and coach. And today I'm sharing a story from the brand photography side of my business. So the story that everybody's here for, what exactly happened? So my general process when people reach out to me for brand photography services, they will typically fill out the inquiry form on my website. That's where most people come through. And then I have it set up such that there's an autoresponder that goes off as soon as they fill out my contact form, so they hear from me immediately. And then what happens right after that is they will usually book a call with me. I use TidyCal for my call scheduler. They will sometimes book it from that initial email because I have the link to it in there, or I follow up right after as soon as I can with a more personalized message. So I get on this call. The calls usually go pretty well. I have my sales process pretty dialed in. And on this call, I talk about the process of brand photography, what it's like to work with me, the investment, the whole process, timeline, all of that good stuff. Oh, hi, Madeline. But that's the process, right? So they fill out the inquiry form on my website. We go to the sales call. And then what should happen after that is where I made my little boo-boo. So on this call, I'm working with this or talking to this dream client. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so great. I'm doing a little bit more creative brainstorming than I typically would, just because she was so clear with what she wanted and I had a clear vision of where this was going to work. So I talked a little bit about, oh yeah, I know actually the perfect studio space for you based on what you've told me. Also, definitely reach out to my wardrobe stylist because she mentioned needing support in that area. So I gave her the little plan. I was like, okay, it was towards the end of the day. What I'm going to do is send you an email after this with all the information, and then we will go from there. Now, during this phase, I am coining this phrase. I heard someone else say it. They called it their booked out era, which I love. I love that term because that's basically where I was. I was in my booked out era. Lots of communication happening all the time, lots of emails, and I hate my email inbox. Maybe you don't know this about me, but anytime I open my emails, I'm just like, I want to be anywhere else. It's gotten a lot better over time. It's still probably my least favorite form of communication, but my emails are not my favorite place to be. So what happened was this call ended. It went so well. I was like, yes, this is going to be great. I'll send you the info, blah, blah, blah. We'll go from there. I was really tired because it was the end of the day. And I said, okay, let me open my email. And I just stared at the inbox and was like, you know what? This is a tomorrow task. I will deal with this tomorrow. Well, tomorrow rolled around and guess what I didn't do? send the email with the proposal. I didn't send over the info that I said I was going to send. It just slipped my mind because I was busy editing client work. I was busy marketing, doing literally all of the other things that you have to do as a business owner. It just slipped my mind because I waited and it was the next day. And then the next day happened. And guess what I didn't do? I didn't send the email. Forgot to do that. And so on and so forth until about 2 months later, I ended up seeing this dream client post new photos with a different photographer with the same recommendation that I had, the studio recommendation and wardrobe stylist. So after the initial gut punch of like, oh, that hurts, I let it go. I let the emotion happen. But then I realized, you know what? This was my fault. Like, this was 100% preventable had I actually done what I said I was going to do, had I followed up with her. So then digging a little bit deeper, okay, why did this take me so long? Why didn't I do this? It's because there was too much friction between me and this task that I don't like doing, which is the admin work, sending the email, sending the proposal, doing all of this stuff. I didn't have a good system in place yet. So that's what happened. I had this client, she was 100% ready to book on the call, and I was like, yeah, I'll just send you the info. And I didn't because I just didn't have the process in place. So I want to dive a little bit more into that because since then, this was a while ago, I have built out these processes that prevent this from happening in the future. Now I can send proposals in one click. Takes me 5 minutes. It's not something I ever have to think about. And I can also send up follow-ups within like a minute or two. Everything is very easy. I've identified what's the friction point. Wow, I hate writing emails. I hate opening my emails. And I'm seeing in the chat, maybe time for a VA, but there's something about it. I have at one point had a VA help me with this, but it just didn't feel aligned for me. The reason why is because I was the one that talked to the client on these calls. So I felt that there was a disconnect between me not following up, and I would just rather, basically the options were hire a VA, have another person do this, or build out a system for me that made it easy for me to follow up with this client, with any client really. And the systems, building out the system just felt better for me. And now I have it and it's literally not an issue anymore. So before we dive into what that system is, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the psychology or the mindset behind when people don't respond to you, because these are very closely related, right? I didn't follow up. I 100% should have. I should have sent the thing. But there are other situations where I do the thing, right? I have the system in place. I send the invoice. I send the proposal, whatever. The client's all ready to go. And then after I send the invoice, it's crickets. Have we all experienced this? Because I certainly know this has happened to me more than once. Very rarely, honestly, do I have clients that will pay as soon as they receive the invoice. And it's not because they're like still thinking about it, because on the call, they're like, yes, I'm 100% in. A lot of the times it's because they are busy. Life gets busy. Their emails get buried under 100 different emails. There's just other stuff going on, right? Sometimes they have decision fatigue of, okay, maybe they're deciding between a few different photographers or a few different service providers, whatever it is that you are. Or they're like me and they also hate checking their email. So when it comes to following up, something that I have worked on is knowing that I am not here to bother someone into booking. I'm just sending them a reminder and bringing it back to the top of their inbox. Because 90% of the time what happens is people say, oh, I totally forgot. Like, thanks for getting back to me. So it's not pushy when you're following up. There's definitely a difference between following up in like a weird, salesy, desperate way. Not desperate. I don't like to say that, but there's different energy behind it, right? Where sometimes we can have that weird, salesy energy. I've definitely had it. But in the systems that I built out, it prevents me from having that. And it also removes my emotion from how I feel about following up and how I don't feel weird about it anymore, because I know, like Madeline's saying in the chat, yeah, they get interrupted by children. They get interrupted by someone, I had somebody who had to like run to the emergency room for something. And I was like, oh my gosh, of course, like you handle you, don't worry about this now. But you never know what's going on. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see is people sending the invoice and then assuming, oh, they didn't respond to me, so they hate me. So they're not going to work with me. Like, no, the ball's in their court now, so I'm not going to say anything. No. The sales are in the follow-up. And it can't be on us to assume what they have going on in their lives, because they don't hate you. Like, they're just busy. We all have our own lives going on. And even though it feels like a really big deal for us as the creative, as a service provider, a lot of the times it's just another thing on their to-do list. So we have to remind them that it's a priority. So the biggest follow-up mistake is not following up at all, or waiting too long in between follow-ups as well. So the system that I've built out, I have a process that I follow, but also when I'm on these sales calls, I ask if there's a timeline. And if they're like, yeah, I'm wanting to get my photos back within the next 5 or 6 weeks, well, that's right on my schedule. So I'm like, okay, let me speed up the follow-up process so that I can make sure we get through my client process in enough time. So that's the big thing. Now, when we think about what does good follow-up look like, it definitely matters the tone of how you're following up, timing, like I just mentioned, and also just being helpful in general, right? If you had a good experience with them on the sales call, on the discovery call, whatever you want to call it, then they're not going to be weirded out by your follow-up. They're going to be like, oh yeah, thanks so much for the reminder. So a few things that I like to include versus not include when it comes to following up. First of all, something that I have seen in people following up with me is they apologize. And I'm just like, what you apologizing for? I'm so glad you did this. They'll say, oh, I'm so sorry to bother you again, or so sorry to follow up with you again. You don't have to apologize. You're just doing your job. I'm here for it. If you think about when you go out to eat and you're going to order a burger, whatever, and the waiter asks, do you want fries with that? They don't say, I'm so sorry, do you want fries with that, right? They're just asking you if you want something. And I mean, it's a sales thing for them too, right? Because the higher your order, the more food you order, the higher the tip is going to be. So we don't need to apologize. It's not necessary. And then I also want to make it about the client, not necessarily about us. So some other things that I've seen in follow-up, again, people following up with me, I get a lot of cold pitches for like YouTube video editing and all this stuff. People say stuff like, oh, I haven't heard back from you, or like, can you let me know, blah, blah, blah. And those aren't inherently bad, but if you're not positioning it from a way of, hey, remember you said this was important to you. If you're making it about you as a service provider and not about the client, that is a tweak that we can make that can make your follow-up more effective. So my general framework, the framework that I follow when it comes to following up and avoiding the situation where you forget about something. Number one, have a system. Make it as frictionless as possible for you. So if you find that you get email inbox anxiety like I do, can you send an email outside of your email inbox? Can you use your CRM, which is what I do, your CRM to send an email, and also have a template in place that makes it as easy as possible to do it? And how can you customize it to the client, but it not take like 100 years, right? We're so not into customizing proposals for every single person. And I know depending on the service that you provide, you might have to provide a custom proposal, but can you template everything else around that so that it makes it faster for you? I don't want you to be spending all day on a proposal to send to a client. I have been guilty of such, but now I have a system in place so that it only takes me 5, 10, 20 minutes to customize versus 4 hours. You know what I mean? But yeah, we don't have to apologize. And we also don't have to spend all this time customizing everything, because to make your business run as seamlessly as possible, the systems that you have in place is going to save you time. It's going to save your clients time, and it's going to close you more sales. So what did I just say? I said, have the system in place and then make it easy to customize. Can you get out of your email inbox? Can you make it a CRM? The other things, I'm just looking at my note here. One huge important thing that I find all of the time when I am looking to book service providers is people not including what is the next step. Like, I reached out to someone, I was looking just to book an hour-long consultation with somebody, and I said, hey, I didn't see this on your website, but do you offer it? And they said yes. And that was it. And I was like, what? Now what? Like, how do I book this? Can you send me a link? What do I do now? Right? I asked. I'm like, hey, can I pay you money for this? And I did not receive the next step. Like, I had to ask for it. And they were lucky that I really wanted this because I asked. But if you aren't making it extremely clear what the next step is, people aren't going to remember, or people aren't going to know to ask. So in every single step on the sales call, when you send your first email, when you send your next follow-up email, make it very clear to move forward, this is what I need from you. This is the next step. Just one step so that it's an easy yes. I can't stress that enough. Like, so many times I try to book people and I'm just like, and now what do I do to get the thing, right? Make it super duper easy. So the way that I follow up, I mentioned they reach out on my website through my contact form. I have an autoresponder. Then they will typically book the call from the autoresponder. If they do not book, I send a personalized follow-up. If I don't hear from them on that personalized follow-up a few days later, I will send another follow-up email. And if I don't hear from them a few days later, I will send another follow-up email. So that is the autoresponder, the personalized, four touch points before they even get on the call if I don't hear from them. I have had people book the sales call and then go on to book my services from that final follow-up email. So then we do the sales call, and then what happens after that? Well, now it's a quick one-click proposal send for me. Maybe I customize a few things here and there if it's a custom project. Then if I don't hear from them in a week, sometimes sooner, depending on their project timeline, I will send a follow-up email. And if I don't hear from them in a week, I have another follow-up email. And if I don't hear from them again, I have another follow-up email. So another 4 follow-up emails. And yes, I have had people book from the final follow-up email. And all of these are really quick for me to send. They're not 100% automated because, like I say, I like to add customization in case we've talked about something specific, or if they have a timeline or a project date in mind. I want to include that and talk about, hey, here's why there's urgency behind this. If you want to have your photos back by this date, we need to take care of it by this date. So another 4 follow-up emails. Everything's in the follow-up. Almost all of the clients that I book after I send a follow-up email. And again, it's not because they don't want to book with me. Obviously they did because they paid me, but the follow-up is so important. And this is how I have avoided said situation where I forget or I have other stuff going on. I make it super duper easy for me to send the follow-up, and I make it really easy for them to take the next step. So those are the systems that I have in place for that. Now, another question that I get inside of my membership, we have coaching calls, and something that people ask is, how do I know when to keep going or when to stop? Well, I keep going until I've sent all of my follow-up emails, all 8 of them, the first before the sales call and then the other 4 after the sales call. Or if they say they're not interested, obviously I'm not going to keep asking them to do it. For me, even if the client doesn't book, but they tell me, hey, now's not the right time, but I would love to revisit this in 3 months. I had people say, oh, we are pregnant, so let's talk about this later. I am like, that's amazing. Congrats. Love that for you. And if they say, let's talk about this later, I will make a note like in my calendar for a year or 2 later, and I will reach out to them and I will follow up with them. Again, it's not being pushy. They told me, they gave me permission and said, can we talk about this a year or 2 later? They're not going to remember, but if they're still running a business in the capacity that they were, and they're still marketing themselves, then they're probably still going to need photos. So I am really doing them a service of reminding them, hey, remember you said you wanted to market yourself with these brand photos? Happy baby, like, it is now a good time for these. And that has also worked out for me. That doesn't happen super frequently in that specific situation, but I always make note of when to be following up with someone. Now, when I stop, if they've indicated like, oh, I went with someone else, that's fine. Because I always say when people tell me, oh, I'm actually reaching out to a few different photographers, I'm like, that's great. I'm glad you're exploring your options. Is there any other question that you have for me? that maybe some other photographers have talked about that we haven't chatted about yet. That's a good way that I open up that conversation. And I don't make it weird that they're reaching out to other people, because it's going to happen. Like, we're not going to stop. There's nothing that you can do to stop that from happening. So the follow-up is 100% in your control. That's why I love doing it. And I love, love, love reminding people that remember to follow up with your leads, your potential clients. They have expressed interest in you. It is in your best interest and their best interest to follow up with them. So that is my general framework. I gave you my follow-ups. What did we talk about? We talked about the story. If you're just now joining, you can go rehash the replay. TLDR, just didn't send a follow-up email in time because I didn't have the system in place. But now I have the system in place. I'm going to pause here. Do we have any questions about your own business, about when to follow up, what that looks like, the story in general? Happy to talk about it. Just coming back through my notes here. So in general, my follow-up schedule will be once a week-ish. I will shorten that if they've expressed that they wanted a specific date on for their photo shoot, or when they need their services back, or whatever it is. So that's how I do it. Now, I do want to share something that I have put together. I've actually had this resource for a really long time that I have been working on over the years since like 2018. And also I share it a lot with my members inside my Profitable Creatives Club membership. It's a document that I refer to probably weekly, but let's test out this little screen share. Is this going to work? Look at that. How fun is that? Can you see it? I don't know. We're going to pretend like you can see it. But I put together my emails, all of my follow-up emails, like word for word, the exact templates that I use inside of my new digital product called the Client Communication Email Toolkit. So these are the exact follow-up emails that I send to avoid said situation where I have lost out on clients because I didn't follow up, right? And here I'm tell a little bit about the story. If I had just sent the email and made it easy for me, it wouldn't have been a problem. But what this includes, we already talked about this. Literally every single email that I template and send in my business, I say them as Gmail templates. If you don't know how to do that, just Google it. It's really, really easy to turn on inside of Gmail templates. I have like half of them in there, and then I have half of them in my CRM, just depending on where the follow-up makes sense for me, and that's going to be custom based on your business. So inside of this, I have all of the emails that I send in a Google Doc, but I also have some Canva templates that have helped me speed up this process as well. So remember I said I don't do this custom quoting business anymore. Sometimes I do, but I use a template. I have a baseline now that I can send, and I have like duplicate pages that I'll duplicate and delete or choose whatever I want based on the client project. So what this includes, everything it includes, 15 different email templates. So I have a section for cold outreach, which I have done in the past. It is not my primary lead generation method, but I know a lot of people ask me about it. And again, it's all of the emails that I have sent, and I have booked clients from cold outreach. I just don't like to do it as much. I have enough people coming in that it's not something I focus on. I also have the Instagram DM follow-up after I send the initial outreach email, and the 2 follow-up emails after. And this is the process that I just walked through. So the exact autoresponder template that I have as soon as somebody fills out my contact form, the personalized response that I send, both inquiry follow-ups, and then after you get on a sales call and send the proposal, invoice, and agreement email, I have that email template and my 3 follow-ups after that. It's the exact word for word that I'm saying, and I also have little prompts that show you how to customize it for your own business, all in this document. I also, in addition to having clients or having emails templates for potential clients, I also have all of my email templates for reaching out to past clients. So I know I have some past clients on here. You may or may not have received some of these emails from me. I can't remember, but whenever I change my packages, so if I am moving things around, most notably when I went from offering photo only packages to photo and video, I sent out a package change notification, like an email to a subset of clients who had expressed interest in that. Also, if someone had gotten on a sales call with me, let's say we go through the whole process, they get all of these follow-ups and then all of these follow-ups from me, and then I don't hear from them. Well, if they're still on my email list, and if I still see their stuff on Instagram and they're engaging with my stuff, I will email them a few months later and say, hey, I know we talked about this. I just wanted to know, is now a better time? What do you think about this? And that is this email template, this dormant lead re-engagement. And then I also have two other this is an email template of when I'm testing a new package, like if I am putting together a new photography package and I am offering at an intro rate, I will first offer that to people that have already reached out to me. I don't blast it out to the public, like on my Instagram and on my email list. I'll reach out to people that have expressed interest first because I want them to know, like, hey, because you reached out, I have this special thing that I'm putting together. Maybe, like, is this a better fit than the last package that we talked about? I have the whole email template for that. And then I chat a little bit about how I then add people to my email list with their consent and how I stay in touch with them that way. Then the last category of that is actual client relationship management. So I have two different emails that I use to request testimonials and feedback from clients. You're getting the exact email template. If I'm raising my prices, I have the exact email template that I've sent to clients and gotten positive response on. And then when I am introducing my referral partners. So my wardrobe stylist, when I introduce her, I have a template that I use. I send it off every time. And I have pretty much all of these, like I said, saved in Gmail templates to make it like a one-click, quick customize send for me. It's reduced the mental load so much. So I am not like writing emails from scratch every time. I have a base and I know these work. And not that I have anything against AI. You guys know I'm very pro AI tools. None of these were written by AI because I've been using them in my business in some shape or form since 2018. And they've refined over time. I've updated them over time. And I would say now they're like in their final form. They work. I'm happy with them. All written and tested by me. And then, like I said, you're getting the two different Canva templates. So a proposal and pricing guide, which is how you can show your proposals. I would recommend sending this after you get on a sales call with someone. I have different page options. This is great for if you're going to custom quote people or if you have set packages, because you can just duplicate the two pages and swap them out as needed. I also have a client welcome guide template. So when a client is onboarded, when you're onboarding that client, you want to give them an overview of what it's like to work with you. That's what this document is. And I have different page templates for whatever information you want to include. If you have a project timeline that you want to talk about, communication guidelines, it's all here. And what I'm going to do, I probably should have dropped this in the chat, huh? I'm going to drop this in the chat and, oopsie, grab the client communication email toolkit. Going to drop that there. Let me come back to my screen share. What else do we have? And then now through June 10th, that's Tuesday, so end of day Tuesday, you can grab this for $47. All of my emails, all 15 of them, the Canva templates, whatever, literally all of the emails that I use to run my business and to close sales, this is what I have. I do want to say, if you are in the Profitable Creatives Club, I know I had some people that said they wanted to watch this. You already have access to this, so don't buy it again if you're in my membership. But I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited to finally be sharing this because my members get so much use out of it. Whenever they're like, help, I had somebody reach out and I don't know what to say, I pull open this document and I'm like, follow up number 1, this is what you want to do. And they're like, oh yeah, this is perfect, exactly what I needed. So I'm super excited to be sharing with everyone because it's helped me so much and it's helped reduce my mental load. It's helped reduce the friction that I have in emails. It helps me take out the guesswork of how to respond to clients because I literally have the template for everything. It has everything. I'm freaking pumped about it. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to come back to questions because I see some in the chat. If you're on Facebook, I am having a hard time seeing the Facebook comments, so I will get to them after. But on YouTube, let's see, what CRM that I use. Ooh, can I add to broadcast? What is this? Ooh, how fun. So I have gone through a few different iterations. 17 Hats is my favorite CRM. I don't have an affiliate link for them or anything because I'm not actively using it, which I'll explain why in a minute. 17 Hats is super straightforward. The tech just works. It is really easy to use. It's customizable. It is by far my favorite CRM. It's pretty cost effective too. I have also personally used Dubsado. I switched from 17 Hats to Dubsado because I thought I valued the aesthetic of Dubsado more, because in Dubsado you can add more images, you can add headers, change out fonts, you can just make it look more on brand. But honestly, I just preferred the user experience of 17 Hats more. It just worked better for my brain. I've also done HoneyBook setups for clients. HoneyBook has gotten a lot better. As a client, like somebody who has purchased someone's stuff on HoneyBook, it's a great experience now. So it really just depends on what you like. I personally prefer 17 Hats. Nowadays, what I use, because I am focused more on education, I've actually built out my own CRM in Airtable. I wouldn't recommend that for most people. Unless you're super duper techie, I wouldn't recommend it. But I did that because I'm not booking brand photography clients at the volume that I was. So I don't have as big of a need for all of the automations. But I basically just rebuilt it in Airtable. But again, I wouldn't recommend that. I just was already paying for Airtable and I was paying for this other thing. And I was like, if I just take the time to put this together, then I can consolidate some of my costs. And that's what I did. Do we have any more questions about following up? If you have specific examples that you want to talk about in your own follow-ups, if you feel some type of way about following up, or if you have, maybe you have some follow-up templates or emails that you like to send, but could use a little bit of work, we can workshop them. Whatever you have, whatever you want to chat through, I am here for. But like I said, this is the saga. This is what happened. I didn't have my follow-up templates. Now I do, because of this unfortunate but blessing in disguise situation, because now it hasn't really happened since, because I have these systems in place that make it really easy for me to send my own proposals, my follow-up emails, and it just removes the emotion out of it for me. So now what used to happen was I used to be like, ooh, do I need to follow up now? Like, is now the right time? Should I send this email? And I would overthink everything. And now it's just, oh, a week has passed. Let me hit the send follow-up number 1. Another week has passed. Let me send follow-up number 2. It's just a task that I do, and I don't have any emotion behind it because I'm just doing my job, and it works because people book from these follow-ups. Any other questions that we have? I dropped the link in the chat. I see another one. Do you only follow up if they have given permission and you've asked that you can? Oh, so let me put this on the chat too. So a couple of different things. I don't explicitly ask for permission to follow up, because in these follow-up emails, so in these templates that I have, they're not getting it from my email marketing platform. So I don't use Flowdesk anymore, but Flowdesk, or if you use MailChimp, MailerLite, ConvertKit, whatever, these are direct emails from me. So they have reached out to me to inquire about my services. I am just asking, do you want this still? I don't say it like that, but that's essentially the exchange that's happening. So I follow up with everybody because they've initially reached out to me. If they are not interested in my services, by all means, they can tell me. In one of the follow-up emails, I talk about like if now's not a great time, or if you would want to talk about this later, like I can circle back at another time. But yeah, I follow up with everybody. They can tell me if they want me to stop. And the way that I follow up, it's not like those annoying cold emails that you get, of someone saying like, this is the last chance. Your YouTube videos suck. Do you want me to fix them or not? Like, I get a lot of emails like that. I'm not following up like that. They're like normal person sounding emails. But in the templates, I talk about my email list nurture strategy. I do not add people to my email list unless they have given explicit permission. Now in my contact form, I have a checkbox that says, do you want to receive marketing emails from me? If they check yes, then they automatically get added to my email list. If they don't, then they do not get added to my email list. But even if they don't check that box, and they fill out my contact form and I don't hear from them, I will follow up with them using these email templates. But the difference is it's coming as a direct email from me versus from my email marketing platform. Does that make sense? But yeah, I follow up with everyone, just not through my email marketing platform. Okay, anything else today? Any other questions about the story, the tea, the situation at hand? Let me know. If not, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thanks for joining me live. If you're catching the replay, let me know. I always respond to the comments, and if I don't see it, it's just because I didn't get the notification. It's not because I'm ignoring you, I swear. Anyway, thanks for being here. Happy Friday. The client communication email toolkit will be available at the launch price, $47, through next Tuesday, June 10th. Take a peek at it. If you have any questions, you can comment on Facebook, wherever, and I'm happy to answer them about like stuff that's included. But like I said, these are the exact emails that I send in my business. I use them. I share them with all of my clients, my coaching clients, my membership clients, because they use them all the time too. They are not AI generated. Not that there's anything wrong with using AI tools. I'm very pro AI, but these are like tried, tested in my own brand photography business, and they're the exact emails that I send. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for being here, and I will catch you in the next live or video or whatever. Bye.